Hi, I'm Saren.
And I'm Ray.
We're your Spider Baby hosts from To Know Her Is to Fear Her, a Spider-Woman podcast, as well as proud members of the collective.
You're listening to Capes and Lunatics. Gimme, gimme.
Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to make sure you know all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on all new episodes of Wade's World, Boob Windows and Long Boxes, our Hard R movie reviews, and so much more, all completely uncensored. Access starts for as little as $1 a month, full videos when you pledge $3 a month. Check us out at the link in all of our show notes, or just go straight to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Good old child labor.
Hey-oh. Just like the Russians do. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of the Capes and Lunatics. It's finally here, our Black Widow movie review. Had to wait over a year for this thing. Alright, so others may join us, but for now, it is I, Phil, and of course, joining us, as always, that big, the Red Guardian of New Jersey, it is
Charlie, the Professor Essa.
And she who has much red on her ledger, it is.
I'm proud of the little hellfire, y'all.
And you know our other gentleman by his appearances on Full Stream Ahead, the Nuff Said podcast, now the Happiness and Darkness, the superhero movie podcast.
My skinny rich friend.
That's right.
It's Maz. How you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, Maz. So glad to have you.
So we finally get a
So good to be
movie.
here.
Yes.
I think
I love when people get to see how handsome you really are.
oh my.
But I think people think I'm saying that as a joke. It's like, no, the man is just freaking gorgeous.
You're making them blush, Charlie. That's my job here. Come on.
He's a very pretty man. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Thank you, Charlie.
Now everybody knows it. There we go.
Anyway, so
Phil,
how did
best
you
behavior.
guys see this movie?
I went to the theater to see it.
Right, Lilith?
I saw it with my friend who's a reviewer. We watched it on a projection screen.
Ooh, fancy. Charlie, how'd you see it?
I first saw it in the hotel room.
Oh,
Because, it came out it came out on Friday, which was our travel day. And then actually Friday wasn't our travel day, but we just had a very long vacation. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, we took advantage of the streaming. And I'm still waiting to figure out what the secret code is meant by having that little circle show up every so often in the middle of the screen, just circling.
It means your internet's bad.
Whoa, man, what could this mean?
Well, he was doing it on hotel internet. So.
Mephisto confirmed, but I've watched it a couple times since then, and I will go see it. I'll probably go see it in the theater next weekend. I'm going to give them my money. Don't worry. But it's like, this was just the only way I could really watch it quickly and efficiently in the time frame I had.
As soon as quarantine ended, I got back on my Regal Movie Pass thing, and so I can see as many movies as I want for free. So this was only like a $4 upcharge to go see it in 3D, and man, oh man, the 3D was worth it. The final scene benefits so much from it. Like the bridges and whatnot are coming in your face, and people are flying through it. It looks amazing, and then the helicopter. It was just absolutely mind-blowing. And
I actually think that's one of the most interesting aspects of these films, because I do think, because that's something Tristan was commenting on when we were watching it this afternoon, was that he felt that the CGI looked a little less interesting in 2D on the TV screen, but I would wager that if you were watching it in that 3D version, it's not gonna look as fake. I mean, it is obviously fake. I mean, they didn't really have Scarlett Johansson running down a burning building. I don't even know if you can do that. But
if you're Tom Cruise, you can. Just saying.
He's about to go.
That's only because he's got the power of Xeno. So,
and that's at Charlie Esser.
Hey, I thought that was a compliment.
Church of Scientology. That is at Charlie Esser, 2 E's in the middle.
New Jersey.
I'm going to do what I want to do. I actually meant that as a compliment. I meant that he is clearly whatever the gifts of Scientology are. They're working for Tom Cruise. I'm that kind of freak.
He's a Kentucky boy. That is Kentucky boy magic. I refuse to acknowledge the Church of Scientology on that. That is Kentucky boy magic.
Well, someone put the two together. So, whether it is just that the great being Xenu sent a Kentucky boy to Scientology to be a fulfillment of Scientology, or if Scientology came to the Kentucky boy. I am not one to know. I am not the great Xenu or Zimu or whatever his name is. I am not that being of all things. I only know what I see. And
it's legally admissible evidence.
Is Scarlett Johansson wrapped up in all that stuff too? Because
no.
She's
a whole other flavor of trouble.
She's a whole other
what
flavor
is that?
Being a woman in Hollywood, speaking her mind.
I was going to say, spill that tea, a little Hellfire.
Yeah.
There's no tea. She's just a strong-willed woman that speaks her mind. They don't like it.
Hey, someone's gotta,
Fortunately for her, she's incredibly good at what she does, so she can say what she wants.
And if she doesn't want to do acting, I'm waiting on another country album. So, whatever.
I did not know she had a country album. And I actually usually follow country music, so.
Yeah, isn't she producing
I hope we continue to get to see her act, because she's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I don't think this is the end. I don't even think this is the end of Black Widow. They can say it's the end of Black Widow, but it's not the end of Black. If nothing else, we got to go back to the 80s and the 90s and the aughts and find out what else has been going on in the timeline. If Lady Sif can come back, so can Scarlett Johansson.
Well, we saw her in the 80s in the beginning. She was catching fireflies.
Yeah, well, that was the 90s. And actually, I realized that. At first, I thought that was 85. That was actually 95.
Sliding time scale.
Yeah, well, because then that puts her at what? Because we assume she's 13 there, and then it lines up with the way time flows. So it's like 2006 that she goes to Budapest and all that kind of stuff. So it works. Or not 2006, 2016, or when they do the 21 years later. So that's how that.
That's
works.
A hell of a time jump, but okay.
Well, when they're trying to get away in the beginning, I was like, man, is S.H.I.E.L.D. really going to try to shoot them kids too? But then later on, they reminded me, they're like, oh yeah, we stole something from S.H.I.E.L.D. Although it was actually Hydra at the time. I was like, okay, yeah, Hydra, that makes sense. Hydra would have shot them all dead.
Oh, like the difference is that negligible.
Hello.
Really, it's like S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, as Strucker says, it's just two sides of the same worthless coin.
Hydra apologist.
Well, it's just Hydra is trying to control the world. S.H.I.E.L.D. is trying to control the world, but nicely. S.H.I.E.L.D. is America. Hydra is the Soviet Union.
They got the Charlie. Robert Redford got the Charlie Esther.
What I'm saying is that America is always the good guys, but America has done a lot of evil.
Tell that to Haiti.
No!
Well,
not to get us off track. That's just the most recent.
Look, I don't.
Somebody's got to run the world, right? Somebody's got to run the world, and we have a vision.
I'll give it to my Chinese overlords. Thank you.
No, that's my point. Like, everybody's got a vision for it, and if I care about the vision I like, I should be on board.
Oh yeah, and that's the idea, and that is the argument. That is the great, that's the great Captain America argument. We are a flawed nation, but at least we believe in democracy and the rule of law and human rights. And yes, we fail in all those things all the time.
Okay, there we go.
Don't bring up Captain America.
Those failures are our own as well. All of us, we share in the blame of all of it. We can't just turn around and point the finger and expect not to say, "Oh, one pointing back at us," because we are a part of this. We benefit from all of it. So, I mean, as much as it's good to point the finger, we're all complicit in it as well, and we should understand our role in it and be responsible also.
And to be fair, that is one of my favorite things about Alexei in this, about the Red Guardian, is he really he is a patriot. He's got Carl on his right hand and Marx on his left. He is a big believer that the party should be a party, not a bunch of sourpusses. That this is the great communist revolution. Why are you people acting like this is dour? Everyone should be embracing we the workers rising, you know?
Hey,
and
boys,
he believes it.
I love the party.
He believes in that glorious red ideal of the revolution, but like Captain America before him, not everybody who endorses that ideal believes it, and quite frankly, much like what's his name? I'm blinking on his name now. Elijah Bradley or Isaiah Bradley. When the ideal becomes problematic to those in power, you get put in jail for the rest of your life. And I think that is very much the parallel here. And that is the idea, is that there is this ideal that makes you a hero. And we can hear that when Alexi's talking to Natasha. And it's like, and you're not just fighting as an assassin behind the scenes. You are a hero. You're living what he dreamed he would be. He wanted to be the communist Captain America. He wanted to fight for the glory of Mother Russia and the glory of the Marxist ideal and the workers rising up to bring about a just and fair world.
And then he insulted somebody's shirt and got thrown in prison.
Well, yeah, because that's what happens in a fascist regime without a proper democratic core. But that's why you need a democratic core. If you have a democratic core, if you have a right of free speech and democracy, how you divvy up the money is irrelevant because it'll all even out in the end. But you have to have the will of the people moving your country forward, not the oligarchs, and that doesn't mean you can't have oligarchs. There's always going to be oligarchs. There's always going to be royalty. There's always going to be some guy who is in charge of things, whether it's Baron Zemo or Captain America. Someone is going to be given undue influence on society because we are a tribal creature and not everybody wants to be chief. But so long as everybody gets a say, you can have a society that works a little better and can work towards a better outcome. And that is where I say Alexei, and I wonder about that Cap Alexei dynamic, and if it was a different Captain America that he fought, if it was something that they never got to really, he never met Steve Rogers because, the timeline doesn't work out. Or maybe they did, but that was one theory, is that actually when Captain America goes back in time, that's when he meets Alexei. You're
hitting on the wrong girl, pal.
Yeah. Who knows? But no, that's what I love about Alexei, and that he winds up in prison shows you what happens in a society without freedom. Doesn't matter how good your ideals are, if you are not a society that embraces human freedom, it will always be a place where the uncomfortable voices are locked away.
It also kind of speaks to how that sort of idealism can be used to sell good people on doing bad things.
Mm-hmm. Which is the entire Hydra Cap idea, Honestly, that is, I think, one of the most perfect through lines in this whole thing, is how that Hydra ideal, that basically, and so for the whole movie, spoilers here, the whole outcome of the Red Room is Project Insight. It is this idea of we have these elite, mind-controlled MK Ultra assassins out there that we can send out as needed to tip the balance of power in the world as we need to, in the way that Hydra had done with the Winter Soldier, which was also through the Russians. So the idea that the Red Room isn't also a part of Hydra is kind of the laughable action. It's just one more head of Hydra in the Red Room trying to bring about this global supremacy. But, the idea was, well, what's the most efficient way to it? Do we do it in the shadows with our assassins? Do we just launch helicarriers and start blowing people up from the sky? But in all cases, it's how do we control this world? How do we keep these powerful voices that are idealists from shifting things into too much chaos in its own way, much like how the TVA is trying to control the universe over on Loki right now. And yet you also have this, brash young lady who is stealing temp pads, or in Natasha's case, stealing guns off of trained soldiers right away, because they're going to fight for what they want, because they will be heard. Much like Scarlett Johansson, as Lilith said.
It just seems like his plot to control the world seems so small in scope that he just seems like one of these back alley bad guys that Spider-Man beats up, in his early days. It doesn't seem like a world-altering bad guy, which is fine. It wasn't, like a Thanos or whatever. It doesn't have to be. It was just another guy who had a private army. That's all it was.
Yeah.
In essence.
And what it is a guy who understood that he
had ambitions, but that's all he had.
Well, what he had great power from the shadows. But the great power from the shadows requires you to remain in the shadows.
And again, you slip any of those women in anywhere. I mean, Maz, some president or king or somebody has a mistress. Guess what? You slip a widow in there. You're like you said. I can make a quarter of the world hungry, and and like you said, he says he gets a hold of if he gets control of Natasha, he's like, I have an Avenger.
Yeah, and he does understand that political capital that would give him. But at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is that, the power he has is a small, quiet power. It's not like Thanos' power where he's raining down fire from the sky. He is picking his battles and picking his fights, and he can say he is the most powerful being in the world because he can say he can cause prices to rise and fall, but really, all those things are stacked on. He can't knock over a country. He can just pull out. He just knows which card to pull to cause what is already a weak structure in itself to fall down.
He knew when to keep quiet, because like you said, they kept making that point. They weren't going after Natasha because next thing you know, you're gonna have a Hulk slamming through your ceiling.
Yeah, because really they would, because that is the outcome. That if they ever did, and that's why it was better for them to let Natasha think Draco was dead.
And then you have this very the figure out there telling the world, oh yeah, the Red Room's gone. The Red Room's gone. So he's like, yeah, keep telling people the Red Room's gone.
Yeah, and although I did like the fact that they did bring that Loki, bring it back to Loki because it is Loki's universe. We all just live in it. That Loki called Black Widow out in Avengers about Draco's daughter. As she's interrogating him and he's interrogating her, it says, can you ever get that red off of your ledger? But then you have that counterpoint again with Alexei, where he is like so proud of how much red is in your ledger. Your ledgers must be positively dripping from all the people you killed.
Oh yeah, Yelena, you're the youngest child assassin in the world.
You're the greatest child assassin. That's not even she's just the greatest assassin. And he is so honestly proud of them, of what they achieved, and and again, it's because
doesn't even matter
he
to
believes.
him that they were sometimes, or Natasha at least was fighting on the other side. Just the fact that they had a cause and were fighting for it and were warriors in that sense was enough to make him really, really proud of them.
And within that, he also didn't know about the mind control, or that there was any more mind control than was done to him. Because that's an interesting theory that I came up with. Is like, what if he actually never got the super soldier serum? They just hypnotized him to believe he was a super soldier, and that's how he became a super soldier. Just unlocked his limitless potential just through the power of hypnosis. That's a little headcanon for me there, but that's why it was the only one that he could work on, because nobody else except this guy who just absolutely believed in the cause would be so able to be manipulated to just become a superhero because you told him the cause says you are a superhero, and that is why he is a superhero.
All right, I got a really weird question. I don't know, no one else might have seen this, but especially like at the end there, from Dreykov, was anyone else getting like Russian Tony Soprano vibes off of Dreykov?
I mean, yeah, it's the same kind of idea there. It's, I mean, is that the same actor all the way through?
Yeah.
Was he in a fat suit at the end, or did they just like digitally?
Well, they probably.
I got to get that digital.
They probably CG'd
reduction surgery.
They probably CG'd him in the beginning to look younger and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, making him look like what's his name? Who's the coach of the Bears? Ditka. Yeah, Ditka. Yeah, they made him look like Ditka.
Unless they just CGI'd his face on somebody else's body in the beginning or something. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever they did, they did it, and it worked well. And that actor, I think he was fantastic in it. I think he really shows.
Alexa, you mean David Harbour?
No.
Oh no, you mean
Dreykov?
Yeah, Dreykov. Yeah. That he was the big small man. That he is so small and tiny on the inside. And everything is about him looking big and being scary. And
getting that validation. Yes, I am scary, aren't I? Yeah. Aren't I?
Yeah, and honestly, to me, favorite scenes is when Natasha says, I thought you could do that for me, but you really were just too weak. And she smashes her face to basically sever her. I don't know if that really severs the nerve. I hope that we're supposed to assume that she now has anosmia for the rest of her life. But honestly, I guess it'd be a minor inconvenience to do what she does. But and again,
I just took her. She broke her nose at some point because later on they show her like shoving it back into place.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if smashes her face. Her nose is already bleeding, so it led me to think that there was something that they did beforehand to prepare for this moment, and then she finalizes that procedure by sending whatever was lodged in there to go further in and sever whatever.
Well, no, I mean, for whatever, but he was punching her. That's why her nose is bleeding.
Oh, that's right.
Right. So he punches her several times, and she says, "What, you think I can't take a punch?" And she's trying to get him to hit her as hard as he can. And part of me in my brain is wondering, is he holding back because he knows if he breaks her nose, she's going to be able to kill him now? So that's an interesting chess match that you can do there. But I actually think he just wasn't strong enough to actually
I don't think he's
break
that
her
bright.
face.
I don't think he's that bright.
Exactly. And I get the feeling that here's one of the most interesting things. This is something, and Maz will note this. Because we see the Red Room back in Agent Carter when we meet Dottie Underwood. And we see them using Disney films to teach the children how to speak English, like Snow White. When they did this, there's only one that looks like Daffy and Daisy Duck, one clip of Daffy and Daisy Duck. Everything else is a Fleischer film. And I found that to be an interesting choice that was made. When they do, at the very beginning, when they're doing the Red Room montage, and they show the cartoons that they're showing the kids, and there are all these 1930s cartoons, but they go from being Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which Dottie Underwood was shown, or actually not Dottie Underwood, but because she would have been too old, but the group of latest widows, which actually shows that the Red Widows probably date back almost to if not the inception of the Soviet Union, possibly even deeper into the Tsarist rule. That Dottie Underwood was produced by the 40s. I guess that worked. No, because it's only 40 years.
I'm just thinking,
20 years between 1918 to.
They might use the Fleischer here just because the evil organization was using weren't using Disney cartoons. Just like.
Well, no, but my point is that in Agent Carter, they did actively use the Disney cartoons. And there is still one Disney clip in this. I just found it interesting. It might also just be that obviously the Fleischer cartoons, and Betty Boop in specific, were way more scary So that might have been that choice that they were making, that they said, no, we want this to look really scary. We want this to be that really scary montage scene for these characters. So we're going to do Betty Boop and actually it was Betty Boop and Snow White as well that they used in this, rather than the Disney Snow White, which they used in Agent Carter. So to me, it's one of these little subtle choices they make. I don't know if that's a corporate decision or if that's an artistic decision. Like I said, it definitely is a scarier. Betty Boop is definitely a scarier cartoon series. Which, if you want to give, especially when you're putting that Smells Like Teen Spirit lady drone over it. I don't know that actress's, not actress, but that singer's name. But that, you do that female vocal, you pare it down, you make it that ballad, which is like da 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 da, and it's a much different thing than the post-punk grunge Kurt Cobain version. It's a different energy.
It's Think Up Anger featuring Mila J.
Yeah, it's great. It works perfectly.
That's how you use a beloved song in a movie, not like what they did with Suicide Squad.
Now they blew all their budget on the music. That's all.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how Gunn's Suicide Squad goes.
Suicide.
Like I said. Like I said earlier, that Gunn is trying, because Gunn is saying, well, the first DCEU TV show is Peacemaker, because that's the one he's making. So he's saying everything else, that Arrow and Legend, that none of that matters for what the DCEU.
It doesn't, because it's not the DCEU. DCEU
well, exactly.
is the cinematic universe.
But then he tries to play that onto Marvel as well, and because he says the first MCU television show is WandaVision. And it's like,
well, it wasn't gonna be.
Yeah. Well, no, it's supposed to be. I mean, it's the business. It's the business. But that's the question: is it the business?
It's the ego.
I don't believe in egos in business. Any business that is successful should not have egos involved. That's why pencils have erasers, baby.
All right, Lilith, you're always one to call out these movies if you have a problem with them. What did you think?
I don't know. This movie just felt like an afterthought to me. That's all.
Really?
It didn't feel like a normal MCU movie.
It should have been earlier.
What did you think was missing?
The love, care, attention, actual. No offense to Kate Shortland, a real director.
So what did you have a problem with? What scenes or what dynamics in it bothered you?
I feel like a lot of the character dynamics just didn't go far enough for me. Like, I don't know, it just felt unnaturalistic, a lot of the performances, except for Rachel Weisz. I loved her, and I thought that
Yelena Belova and that scene where he starts singing Bye Bye Miss American Pie, and she's angry with him, and she says, it was all, you all knew it was fake, but to me, you were everything. That scene didn't cut your heart open.
I don't have a heart, but if I did, it would have.
They reconnect, and he starts singing her favorite song, and she sings with him, and they're being like a little father-daughter. I don't know. I was like,
they ripped all that stuff out of her in the red room.
I'm allergic to heartstring pulling scenes. I'm just absolutely allergic to it. So that might be my problem.
I don't know, because to me, I thought all those.
This should have came so much earlier. I think is my biggest gripe with it. And the whole thing with Taskmaster. I like the twist, but as an actual Taskmaster character from the comic books fan, where do we go from here now with that? Nowhere.
I mean,
probably.
You could use the technology and have a new Taskmaster, because it's like they kind of liberated her at the,
Yeah.
Well, and again, along the same lines. So here's the thing. She is finally free. So who Antonia is going to become? And she may be Tony Masters by the end of it. Quite frankly, she may be TONI Masters, because now that she's free, because clearly her evil father was controlling every part of her life.
Literally.
In its own, even if he never raised a hand at her, he was clearly an abusive father, and so now that she's finally free, in fact, she even says, "Is he gone?" And it just shows how much she has been abused her entire life. So she may be much more in later iterations, much more the Tony Masters that we know.
It just
and
felt
love.
more Cassandra Cain than Tony Masters. That's all.
No, yeah, but that's because we're getting like, I mean, that's the thing. And to be fair, we only know about Tony Masters because someone finally decided to do a Tony Masters comic book a couple of years ago. That prior to this, he was.
Well, and that would have been totally cool. And I guess that's why they had the whole big secret about it can't be, put into print on the Wikipedia and stuff until that movie actually premiered that Thursday or whatever.
Yeah. And who she's going to become, that's something that we'll see later on. Because let's face it, we already know we've got that push-button fix-a-face mask, so she can look like anyone she wants to. So we don't even have to play a Deadpool storyline with her. And once she can be free, and once she can just start kicking butt whenever she feels like it, suddenly the entire story can take on a whole new arc for her. So who that Taskmaster is going to be, because let's be clear, the end credit scene, which I'm said was added after, which I think is great. It makes me wonder what the original end credit scene was supposed to be. And we'll probably get that in the
We'll
DVD
find out on the deleted scene, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that they added in, what's her name?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I'm trying to remember her comic book name. And
Val.
one of the few people, yeah, Val. Valerina, the Contessa
Valentina Contessa de Fontaine.
Yeah, since this was supposed to come out, to come out last May. I mean, yeah, they said that was going to be her first appearance. Yeah, and then she was going to show up later in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
See, I had actually heard that they actually added that scene because it came out later. There was originally another end credit scene that you weren't supposed to get Val until that Val showing up was supposed to be a big. Who knows? I mean, honestly, who knows? Because it's all rumor and innuendo. Because the final cut is never cut until the final cut. But here's what I will say for that. In that scene, you get a couple of things that suggest that one, Val is already active in the new Black Widow's life.
Has some wicked allergies.
Yes, she has wicked allergies. She's allergic to the Midwest, because who isn't?
Oh!
No. Actually, I will say this. I went back to the Midwest on my summer vacation. Actually, my allergies were pretty better. So, but then again, I'm from that area, so maybe I'm just immune to those toxins. But, you get this idea between Falcon and Winter Soldiers. We are building our Dark Avengers. And if she shows up in the last episode of Loki, so we kind of need a god too, and to be this person who is going to be that Norman Osborn for the MCU, but maybe not a crazy one, but just no, I'm evil and I'm the boss of stuff, and I'm going to kill people when I need to, but I'm not crazy.
I don't think she's evil.
No, she's just like S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra before.
Pragmatism doesn't have to be evil, okay? It can be totally neutral.
Right.
Exactly. Well, I mean, no, and that's the thing. Well, the thing is pragmatism leads to evil. The road to hell is always paved with good intentions.
I mean, if you go into it deep enough, I mean, look, she's already got herself a captain. She's following the pattern. She's got herself a Captain America, a Black Widow.
And she's sending her against a Hawkeye.
What up, Jamie?
Hello.
Hello, Jamie.
How you doing?
The soccer game's
Just
over.
fine. How did England do?
Football, come on, don't hurt his feelings like that, though.
Okay, I don't know. I haven't seen yet, so.
We lost on penalties.
It wouldn't be England if they didn't lose on penalties.
Yeah.
I have no idea anything about football. I just heard someone saying that that's this English mindset of they'll take it away from us if we get it.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
It was.
That's what he came here for, right, Jamie?
It was it. We got the fastest goal within the first 3 minutes of the game, and then it went downhill. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so we just talked about this movie, Black Widow. Did you see this movie, Black Widow?
Hardly ever.
Yes, I did. Watched it last night. I watched the beginning bit twice because me and my wife started watching it, and then we stopped and went and had something to eat. When we come back, my son said, "Oh, can I watch it?" So we started it again, and yeah, it was a good TV show.
Oh,
that sounds like a slight. Did not feel cinematic for you. Well, I guess since you watched it in your house,
yeah,
like this is the conversation we were previously having, that watching this in the theater is different than watching it in your house.
Yeah. It was. The thing is, because of how good the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was, it's like this was just the same, except the ending. They had to make the ending more cinematic, so they had that flying thing in the sky, and it was like, oh, we're going big budget all of a sudden. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, but I mean, to be fair, this maybe even speaks to that criticism about what is cinema, in filmmaking. Yeah. I mean, to me, in the idea that this is a small human tale at its core, is what makes it a cinema. This is what makes it cinema. This is what makes it cinematic.
Well, they also had a second string cinematographer. No slight. I'm just saying.
Okay, well,
everybody was kind of second string that was involved in this. And it is what it is.
And I wonder too if they're hurting themselves a little bit, just because again it's been 2 years since we got an MCU movie. In that time, we're on our third Disney Plus series where they can take 6 to 9 hours. You're welcome, Lilith, hours to like flesh stories out and stuff. This was like 2 hours and 15 minutes, so it may have seemed rushed compared to those series.
It was.
Black Widow deserved more. That's all. Yeah. That's all I have to say.
Well, to me, the only reason they made this is because DC made Wonder Woman, and they were like, "Oh, we have to do something." And I think this is long overdue. Her film was way long overdue, and the bittersweet is they killed her off, and then we get her film, and you think, "Well, I want another one. I want another sequel. I want something." And then the end. Are we going into spoilers for this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then the has that direct reference from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier with that woman turning up, and it's going to lead into the Hawkeye series. So it just felt like another series to me.
Well, yeah, because they're building their connections, and I can see how it felt like another series, and I guess maybe from my perspective, as a comic book fan, as my core bringing me to all this, I want that episodic story. I want Tony Stark to show up at the end of The Incredible Hulk. Yeah. I want Nick Fury at the end of Iron Man 1 to say you've just stepped into a bigger universe. I want everybody to be sort of pinging onto their next one and their next one and their next one so that we get that connection. And as I said, to me, the ending scene, this is the Iron Man 1 ending scene. This is the you just stepped into a bigger universe. Although we already know it, but then again, this is also essentially setting up, as we've said, our Dark Avengers, that we know when Nick Fury shows up, all the Marvel at the end of Iron Man 1, we all knew who he was in the theater, because you're not going to an Iron Man film unless you know who Nick Fury is. Because that's the first one. It's a nerd audience. We're all nerding at it. It's very, very, very excitingly nerdy, and we get what they're saying. Yeah. Now, for this one, we're a much broader net audience, which is why I think she's helped by the fact that we got Falcon and Winter Soldier first for this. Because now we know who this woman really is. Right. Like at first, it might have just been this weird scene, and honestly, I don't even think they give us that it's, Contessa Allegra de Fontaine and Valentina Allegra de Fontaine in this scene. I think that you would have really had to work through it to get to it. Now we know who she is. We know that she's up to no good, or maybe her own version of good. She's being Nick Fury. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is the new Nick Fury the much more affordable Nick Fury for the series. Because, Sam Jackson, he does cost a lot. And is setting up sort of the counter dynamic between Nick Fury and Val, which, for what it's worth, is a fair conflicting relationship between the two, where they're lovers, they're antagonists, they sometimes they work together, sometimes they work apart, and then sometimes they go against each other, and that is just the nature of their world. And
at the end of the day, I'm just happy that this movie made $158 million on its opening weekend, because we were all worried about that. And we have to preface this with it broke post-pandemic records, but it still sold more on its Thursday opening and its Friday than their successors. But I don't know if they're including the premiere access or whatever. We don't know the actual how the numbers divvy out, but
I think it beat up some of the other movies.
Yeah. I kind of wish this wasn't on Disney Plus for at least like another month, because the moment it went onto Disney Plus, it was pirated. You know what I mean? It was all on the downloads everywhere. Because if it wasn't on Disney Plus, we would have gone and seen it at the cinema. But because it was on Disney Plus, we went, we'll have it here. You know what I mean?
And to be fair, Disney Plus didn't want it on Disney Plus either. That is why it's been delayed, because they have been fighting this, because they knew exactly all of that would happen. That's going to hurt their bottom line if they do it this way, which is why they want to get away from this model. But they knew they had waited so long, they had to let this out, because they knew. Because not for nothing, when Val shows up on Wednesday in Loki, they know it's all over. They had to get this in before Loki on Wednesday, because we're going to be getting that larger universe sooner than we think.
I think this is the only one they're doing that for, because Shang-Chi comes in September. I don't think they're doing the hybrid thing. I think it's going to be straight to theaters, isn't it?
Shang-Chi is straight to theaters. September. And actually, on Shang-Chi, we got to talk about the biggest question in this film that never gets answered. Where does the anti-mind
within 5 minutes?
What?
There was like, do you know where that scene where they're all in the house with the mum? They sort of did all that really quick changing in that plan making within like 60 seconds of the guys smashing through the window, and I was like, when did all this take place?
They teach you that in Spy School.
Have you never seen a quick change artist, man? They do that. That's Spycraft 101. If you can't get in and out of your clothes, and it is somebody else's clothes, in under 5 minutes, you have no business being a spy.
Charlie Esser can be naked in 27 seconds.
That's classic vaudeville training, man. That's where you unlock your elbows and just move right into the new suit and throw on the new face and the black wig, and you're good. But No. To me, the biggest question, and that's a fair question. It's a question that you're going to have in any film. How did they do that if they only had so much time? To me, the biggest question is, who created the anti-mind control chemical? Because that's never explained. I'm sorry?
Yeah, the dust.
Yeah, the red dust. Who invented that? I actually have an answer for who invented it.
Who is it?
Wasn't it that woman at the beginning? They were hunting. I thought it was her.
No, she was the one who stole it. She was the one. Freedom Fighter. No, it was created by the Mandarin. That is actually going to be a 10 Rings callback later, because if you're the Mandarin and you're trying to control the world from the shadows, and someone else is over there trying to control the world from the shadows and is not respecting your Mandaranness, only one thing to do.
Hey,
let's create a chemical that's going to break his empire apart.
Hey, it could be Val, man. I mean, you brainwash all those Black Widows. You got your choice of female assassin there.
This is true too.
What gets me is we were saying, do you know the Taskmaster? We were saying that's a man. That's a guy. The way he moved and the way he walked, that's a man. Until they went, no, it's actually a woman. Then we went, yeah. Well, as soon as he puts the mask back on, it's a man. 100%. That's
no, baby.
Okay. First off, that's very sexist. Thank you. But more to the point, she is a mimic. And
she's mimicking a man.
She's body.
She's mimicking everybody. And actually, this is a central point that if you watch a lot of if you watch stage combat videos on YouTube like I do, they will make the point that boob armor makes no point. It serves no purpose. Armor should be flat against the chest, because giving a divot to direct the sword to your heart is stupid. And so, yes, she's walking like a man because she's wearing men's clothes. You know, she's not there for your amusement. She's there to walk into the room, kill
but
people,
it was
and
a
then
male
walk out.
stunt double a lot of the time.
No, but like when you've been sort of like that,
it was giving me Arrow vibes.
Like, are you even a man or a woman at this point? You're just like a mindless drone warrior. You know,
shout out to the Indies.
There we go.
This is your character.
It's just
would not surprise me if that does not become a meme.
The Taskmaster just reminded me of like a Power Ranger, proper like that. The suit looked like a Power Ranger suit, and I have to say the most underused character was the Red Guardian. You know, I thought to myself,
poor David Harbour.
Oh, I mean. Okay, see,
he was just happy to be there, man.
You're putting
happy he was there. I mean, look,
Yeah.
I loved the movie. I had a great time.
You don't gotta put me up on wires. Okay, cool. You don't have to put me up on wires. Okay, cool.
Considering that Hopper was in Russia, he's probably wearing the same suit that he's wearing in Stranger Things with the same beard. I mean, so they thought, hey, while he's here, let's film 2 films while a program.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say. I think you're putting quantity over quality. Every scene that Red Guardian is in is gold.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah.
To me, this is as much Red Guardian's film as anyone else's. I mean, I think that. Well, no, he's used as much as he needs to be. I mean, Scarlett Johansson is the star. She gets to be on screen the most. That's fair. But every time that Red Guardian is on the screen, he's going to have an emotive moment. He's going to get to communicate a part of his story that is going to seem like a disjointed mess because he's a disjointed mess, but it's still a great item. Milena is likewise just so, I would say she's more underutilized for who had more story to tell, but she's also a character who's played so close to the vest. I mean, like, for all we know, she had been plotting this whole thing the whole time. It's like, you know, as soon as this stuff gets out there, for all we know, she's also working with the Mandarin or with Val. She's planning her own defection. She creates the chemical so that she can cause the dominoes to fall. And, you know, Red Guardian, he's just this great big old lummox who's great and trusting. And that's what is so great about him, is he's trusting.
The downfall of being overly patriotic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's his story. And so, you know, I mean, who really, I think, kind of gets short shrift, but I think we'll get her more in later stuff, is, it's Yelena?
Yelena. So
Yelena.
To me, the movie was about 2 things. The movie was a simple movie about a family and how they relate to each other. And in that respect, it was moving and it was worthwhile to go on that journey with them by the end for me. They came back together. They have to go their separate ways, but they came back and they sorted their stuff out with each other. You know, she's fine with her dad and she knows, hey, I do have a dad. That was powerful. And that I do have a sister. And that was powerful for me. That's really what the story was about. And the second thing this movie was really about was introducing the new Black Widow. And much like a fighter has to go fight the new guy and lose to him to pass the torch to say, hey, this is the new best guy. It was much like that. She had to come in and Natasha had to give her blessing to say, hey, this girl is all right. And they showed her this deep moving story. They made us feel for her. Like that moment where she tells, you know, the Red Guardian, you were everything to me. We felt for her and we were on board and we felt her plight. We were like, hey, we were on her side. And now she gets to be the Black Widow and we might be okay with it. And I think that was the purpose this movie was serving.
Yeah, it's definitely a torch passing. Out of necessity.
Do you think that Natasha can come back?
Oh yeah,
because
it's a comic book. I mean, it's based on a comic book. Anybody can come back.
Because
except for Uncle Ben, you got to stay dead, homie.
To get,
well,
you
it's
know,
only because he's really Mephisto, Lilith. You know that.
Give a soul, but I would have thought that. Do you know when they did the snap and everyone came back?
Hulk said he tried to snap her back.
Were in the Soul Stone, so why can't she be the last one out? You know what I mean?
Well, because that was the way you get the Soul Stone off, because you couldn't do the snap without the Soul Stone.
Yeah, she wasn't snapped away.
And the Soul Stone demanded the cost, and the cost was her.
Yeah,
which is
you always got to fridge a woman.
Hey, two women. Gamora fell off that.
Get it done scene.
Gamora fell off that same cliff.
A little bit softer.
Hey, they fridged two women with that cliff. Gamora and Black Widow.
Yeah, and to be fair, Gamora's already back.
Yeah, Gamora's back. Yeah, well, her.
So but that's the thing. It's like
because the Star-Lord romance demanded it.
Well, no, but it's like Loki. We have Loki back. Because it's another version of Loki. So
because the fans demanded some more Tom Hiddleston, and we got to give the fans what they want because we want to empty their pockets.
I don't. That's how
point.
how show business works.
Right, my dollars tell you what I really want.
Exactly, and I'm not mad at it.
Give me what I want. So why am I going to argue? Give me what I want.
Exactly.
Warner's pay attention. Warner Brothers, pay attention.
To be fair, it's a good story and it makes sense. That's the thing. It's like if they just here's what I'll say. If they did, actually I did a duplication, I hid in the debris, and I've been on this other planet this whole time, like, you know, they do in the most recent episode of Loki with classic Loki to suggest that, I think we would be a little softer on the return than if they did that now, or if they just have current Loki Tom Hiddleston show up in 616 and just say, I'm the Loki now, buddies, and, you know, run through his storyline from there. Because he knows everything that has happened, and depending on what happens in episode 6, we'll get a lot of that kind of storyline integrating to it. I think the idea of him coming back into the MCU as the return of the Loki is a real possibility. The Loki who skipped the whole Dark World, like many people thought they needed to do, as it turned out was like the central film of the MCU, which I think is just such a great gag in the whole concept there that, you know, that whole MCU thing, that whole Dark World that nobody liked, we made it the centerpiece. Oh, but now the Loki that comes back actually just skipped that whole thing. So that's going to be that, and I can totally see them doing something similar with Scarlett Johansson. Either she comes back because it's a time variant Scarlett Johansson who shows up, or or we do flashbacks. We go see.
It's a multiverse of madness. I tell you, a multiverse of madness.
And that's the thing. It's like depending on what they want her to do, she'll come back. She'll come back for the money and the story. Either she'll come back for money to do a small thing, or she'll come back for money and a great story and do a big thing.
No one comes back for story. They always come back for money.
We need the money.
Well, no. I said story and money. So, yes, it'll be money and a small thing.
Well, she's free from the shackles of Whedon, so there's that. I mean...
Well, exactly. You know, no one wants to look at her feet at this point, so that's fine. Although, that's an assumption. Depending on who they hire next. Let's face it, it's showbiz, people. Well, that kind of freak. I think Marvel is intentionally given that guy is. Why don't you go do your own films? You said you want to do one more. Go do that one more. It's like, great, you have fun, sir. It's like everyone loves you. Let's keep it that way because the bigger profile you give yourself, that's just the closer you're going to get to someone knocking you down. Because that's the thing. If you have that stuff in your past, and I'm sure he has something in his past, he's got that look. That's all I'm saying. Like me,
they don't let you into Hollywood unless they have dirt on you. That's just how that works.
I don't know if you've all
anyway
chatted about it. How did you feel about the MacGuffin? Because it was like the film were going ahead, then all of a sudden someone went, "Oh, you know about the Red Room's not been destroyed? What do you mean? Oh, that's our mission now." I was like, "Oh, we've got a mission." I mean, it's like You know, they did the shopping list. Right, let's go.
Well, they had to make it a personal mission,
no.
to pull her away from, what the Avengers are going through, I guess.
And it makes sense in the concept, which is like, oh yeah, she thought she destroyed it when she thought she killed Drago with Drago's daughter, because that's why Drago's daughter was a thing Loki could manipulate her with, because that was an innocent she killed. She took an innocent's life to kill what she thought was a greater evil. To take that to say, oh no, you did kill that innocent, but didn't kill the bad guy too. It's like if you went and killed Eva Braun, but didn't kill Hitler. It's like you're probably gonna feel bad about killing Eva Braun, though maybe not so much. She's not that nice of a person. But your whole purpose was intentionally to kill Hitler. But you thought you killed Hitler, but then you say, no, actually Hitler's still alive and well and has been doing more evil in your absence, and was intentionally using the fact that you told everyone you killed him to keep himself hidden. That causes that makes the guilt be compounded. So it made sense in context. And the idea that, she walked away from her life and didn't seek out people from her life makes some sense as well, arguably, because she got away from that life and she just wanted everyone else to just be able to walk away too, because it would be too painful to reconnect. But that's really her own protection than her protecting other people. That, probably, she would have very much liked to have talked to Yelena. Yelena would have liked to have talked to her, but they intentionally made it so that they could not reconnect, because she couldn't deal with what it would mean to actually reconnect with these people.
All right, I don't think we've talked about it enough. What did everyone think of Florence Pugh as Yelena?
I think she was serviceable.
Oh yeah,
I'm glad to. I want to see her interact with the MCU at large. I think she's going to be a great fit.
I thought she was a really, really good actress. I thought her performance here was really, really genuine, honest. And even some of those scenes where she has to make those jokes, like where she comes out, that feels disgusting or whatever. That's not an easy thing to pull off, to make it feel like you really felt that in the moment. And I think in those moments, she was really, really great. And those emotional moments she had with the Red Guardian, her father and her sister, I thought she was great. I fell in love with her, and I'm so ready for her to be the Black Widow.
And the vest. Yeah. You love the vest.
Yeah. I thought she was great, absolutely great. Her interaction with all of the just great, and especially the joke that got me was the one where she turns around to the Red Guardian and goes, "Oh, I don't think we've got enough fuel to get there," and he goes, "Oh yeah, we have, yeah." He's like, "Wham!" So good, so good.
Well, here's what I'll say about her. I really got the feeling, and I wonder if we're going to explore this as it goes on, that she is someone who had this life thrust upon her and didn't thrive in it. Like, she was good at it. She was super competent and great at everything she did, everything she was asked she could do. But she never enjoyed it the way that Natasha enjoyed the dance. She doesn't want to be the femme fatale. She doesn't want to pose. She doesn't want to dance in the fight. She doesn't want to quip. Which is why I think it is telling she still has her accent. Because there is no reason. Obviously, she spent a good part of her young life learning English and speaking perfect English. So why she speaks with this accent, it's because she is not putting on affectation.
Well, I mean, she was brainwashed until the beginning of this movie. I think it's just her exploring, who am I really? I was born Russian. Let me explore my Russian side.
That I think is what we're going to get with her, is like, who is she? Who does she want to be? Does she even want to be what she was made to be? Because she was made into something by people who, like she said, this vest is the first thing I ever bought for myself. Mm-hmm. And it is just like, this is just this person who isn't navigating the stream. She is just in the stream. She is on the boat. She's moving forward. She's rowing. She's rowing. She's rowing. She's not trying to figure out, but if I go this way or that way, I can do this or that. Or if I do this, she's like, no, forward, always forward, moving forward. And now that she has her freedom, now that he is gone, honestly, I would love to see the Antonia and Yelena film in the next one, where those two are like, especially if Tony said, "No, call me Tony," and well, I can do any kind of voice I want to because I'm a perfect mimic because of the brain chips, and do this whole thing where where you sort of have her as you have Tony as the wacky one and Black Widow as the stern one. That is a great buddy superhero film that I would love to watch. That is your hard traveling heroes right there.
I think with Natasha gone, who should be her mentor? Someone who's gone through something almost similar. Bucky.
He's too busy macking on Sam's sister. Sorry, buddy.
You could be a teacher. You could be a teacher and have a booty call too.
Well, let's see.
Not with Sam's sister.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's going to be a dynamic. No, although to be fair,
gotta fix that boat.
Yelena is going to look at him and says, "Aren't you like 400 years old?" It's like it's like what?
How about using the incredible shrinking criminal?
Yeah. Well, he would be fun. He's fun in anything he does. He's going to be over with Kang in a couple of weeks. We'll see him.
Well, I love that line too. With what did Yelena say? I don't know if she said, "Oh, it's like the real Avengers," and like Natasha's like, "What do you mean by that?" She's like, "Oh, I don't think the God needs to take like aspirin after a fight."
Yeah, well, that's the stuff Batman always gets. Yeah, she is the Batman of the group. Everyone knows it.
I was thinking, crying out loud. Yeah, every time they got swung into a car or into a wall, I kept going, "Oof, me back. Oh, me knee. Oh, me back." And they're like, "Yeah, let's get up." Like, when Natasha took her top off and you could see the bruises, I went, "Well, she'll have more than that." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll be like, it reminds me of that, that film.
Secret Healing Factor.
Vibranium costume.
What was that film that came out a couple of years ago with what's her name? Furiosa that was in it. What's her name? Charlize Theron. What was it called? It was like where she was a Russian assassin. What's her name?
Sparrow something.
Charlize Theron. No. Charlize Theron. It was based in the 80s.
Was it the Blonde Dynamite?
Yeah, it was
Atomic Blonde.
Blonde Atomic.
Atomic Blonde.
Basically,
it's a great movie.
This film was like that.
Yeah.
It even, do you know that? Where they had that fight in that building? It was the same building. Yeah, I mean,
well,
and then it's
there's
like
only so many buildings in Budapest.
but it's like where the people who made this film went, do you know what? We've seen Deadpool 2 and we've seen Fast and Furious. If we mix them together, we've got a really good fast car chase. And they're like, "Yeah, we like it."
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, car chases
never go full Fast and Furious. I can say that because I'm a fan of the franchise.
That's much more reference to the motorcycle chase in Terminator 2. So, I mean,
never go full Cameron either.
Oh,
yeah. There's lots of variations. There's lots of ways you can break down the story. I mean, here's the thing: there is not. It's sort of like the infinite limited. The infinite finite curve, we will say. That there's only so many different ways you can shoot a scene. Eventually, you're going to find out that even if you had never seen it before, you're going to shoot that scene in a similar way in the infinite finite curve of how things can be done. There's only so many different ways we can do it. We're going to do it at least one of these ways. And so we're going to walk through it in this scene. And so, yeah, we want a motorcycles chase. We want a person with robot eyes chasing them. It's going to have a bunch of things where someone's going to say, "Oh, that's just like that thing." But it's never really.
Cool. I really didn't.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Honestly, yeah. I love that they're just that Taskmaster is just driving just an insane armored assault vehicle.
Yeah, you can get them from Enterprise. About £50 a day, I think they are.
Yeah, honestly, what I'm going to tell you right now is like that reminds me much more of the retrieval drone in Heartbeeps than anything else. Have you ever seen Heartbeeps?
Yeah,
it's just this idea of a gigantic robot that just chases down rogue robots, and it's just driving through.
No magnets were used during the making of this film.
Yes. But that's the idea. It's like, no matter how you slice it, there's always going to be something that's going to be reminiscent or derivative of something else. But I enjoyed it. Like I said, you can say, oh, it's kind of a TV show, or it's kind of this, or it doesn't have that. I think at the end of the day, it told a good story.
You know what I can't wait for, Charlie? Is the Rick and Morty parody of this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Rick and Morty kind of, I feel, lost its edge.
Ooh.
I said it.
Old man alert!
Look, Planetina was...
Old man alert!
Planetina was
90s
okay.
loved it.
But, here's what I'm going to say. I don't even think they ever even resolved anything with Planetina. They didn't really...
They never do. What do you mean? It's Rick and Morty.
Well, fair enough. And that's the thing. But if all your thing is, oh, we're going to throw something out and never resolve it, then, that's not storytelling.
It's Family Guy at this point. Just roll with it, man.
That's... Okay, I don't...
It's just for the we do it for the references in the Easter eggs. That's it.
I know. But as the guy in The Good Place said, that is worse. You do see how that's worse, right?
Welcome to 2021.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Where all pop culture must be based in memes. Nothing original allowed.
All right.
Saying that, right?
Speaking to that, for all these memes about Vin Diesel and family, this is how you make a movie about family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They didn't jump one car to space.
Because you know what?
No.
Watch yourself, Miles. It's my favorite franchise.
No, but the thing is...
Here's a secret brother I never had, but had.
Family causes problems, and family is not always people that you like or agree with.
But families
there are
always
people-
Quote Supernatural. Blood doesn't end with... family doesn't end with blood. Thank you, Bobby Singer.
Well, that too. But, that's the thing. You can have found family, and you can have... And really, this is a found family, too. They're not even really all a family. I mean, I would love for them to find out who Ivan was.
If it weren't for the fact that Yelena didn't know, that at least to some person it was real, that sort of tied them all together to this obligation that existed only in a false sense of this reality, but it was there, and I think that's what kept them all together. If Yelena hadn't been fooled into thinking that there wasn't something real, none of the other ones would have felt obligated to make it real, to maybe fool themselves into thinking it was real. I think that's an important part of their story.
I thought it seemed to me that they were there a lot longer than 3 years. Because now they said, I was only there. It seemed to me they were there 10 years or something.
Well, remember in the photo album...
Milena was... I thought Milena didn't know that she was a Russian operative. You know what I mean?
Well, I remember when Natasha was saying, they took some of those pictures in the photo album, I guess, before they left, the backdrop. Yeah. So if someone walked in their
house...
Trying
to fool that visa agent.
They would have years of fake pictures and memories and stuff, so...
Yeah.
But it would have been nice if they gave us some sort of the building of what Yelena was clinging to.
Yeah.
There was something there that they had those moments. They gave us they didn't give us any of that family moment in the beginning to warrant the kind of connection and obligation that everybody felt to it.
Well, and I think to the extent it's the idea of the one you have to protect, because arguably that is what family is. It's
again, Cassandra Cain. Birds of prey.
Yeah, well, fair enough. But there's the idea of the one you have to protect, and that is this one girl that has been taken out of the Red Room to live a human life for this period. Because even, Yelena and Natasha aren't even related, but they were just paired because they matched, they looked enough to be sisters that they put them together for this mission. And for these 3 years, this 6-year-old child had a life. And everybody there, as much as they might not want to, or as much as they want to be professionals, still had this bond to this 6-year-old child.
Yeah, I mean,
she's
young enough, and, she was probably an orphan her whole life. All of a sudden, even though it's a mission, she has a mother, her father, someone is tucking her in at night, someone was feeding her, Again, what do you send someone to on a spy mission? They're 6 years old. How do you act like a normal 6-year-old? Go to school, go outside, play. Yeah.
She was 3 years old when she was sent on this.
Spy
mission. So really, she has no, because you start to form memories.
Yeah, that's all the memories she had.
Yeah. all she has is the 3 years memories, which actually makes the photos impossible because they wouldn't be able to take pictures of a 6-year-old.
It's Photoshop, baby. Photoshop's magic.
I think she's younger in some of them.
You know what I would have thought would have been really
aging,
cool?
regression and progression software and stuff like that.
I think what would have been really cool that the girl who played Natasha, what's her name, Eva. Imagine if she wasn't Natasha, but the younger girl was Natasha, and they brought Eva's mum in as her older sister, Millie Yakovich. Yeah.
Yeah, Milena. Yeah. Well, they
Yeah,
do make the
they
point
brought
that
her
she.
mum in as an older sister. That would have been mad.
Well, yeah, and to be fair, she kind of is because they make the point that she had cycled through the Red Room 4 times before Natasha was even brought in, meaning that she had been basically, and again, like we said, if we go back to Agent Carter, which I don't think has been removed from continuity, that the Russians have been working on this Red Room for so long. And yeah, these people were selected and cycled through and taught and trained and, basically conditioned to only know this one world so that when they come back to it, and like they say, and as the science progressed, and then of course, Milena being the scientist, which has interesting implications if they're going to bring, Natasha Pym, Hank Pym's Russian daughter, into the story later, as another science person who was run through the Red Room, but then diverted to the science track. So, and I think that's a real possibility in future films, because this is a universe they're still building.
Good old backhand Pym.
Hey, that was with his first wife, who was actually a Russian spy honeypot. Probably.
So she deserved it?
It was the 70s.
Wait, he hit his second wife?
No, not that he deserved it. Just that a honeypot never does anything to make you get upset at them. It's like.
To be fair, I'm not really fussed about this new phase in Marvel. The ones that I was most, in with is now finished. There's no Captain America. There's no, well, you're going to get Thor, I suppose. But the only other films I'm looking forward to is Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and the Ant-Man. That's about it.
Well, I'm sure they'll
Captain
tell you on it
Americas.
when the Eternals comes out or when other things come out. They're good
Marvel
now.
will do its miracle marketing brainwashing on you. Don't worry. Just give it a moment, Jamie.
Hawkeye
Yeah.
series.
Yeah, I've had me implant, so my Disney implant, so I should be all right. Yeah, as soon as they put the call out, I'll be like, must go to the cinema, must give Disney money.
I'll make an implant joke now. All right. Let's wrap this up. Everyone, give your final thoughts and give your rating for it. Jamie, go ahead.
I loved it. Way, way, way better than any of the Wonder Woman films, I have to say. Especially number 2, Wonder Woman number 2. Bleh, right? But this had the potential they could have easily turned this into a series. Easily.
Yeah.
And I think they've missed a trick by not doing it as a series. Because they could have tied it in so well with Hawkeye during that missing section, like that 5 years after the snap. Maybe we'll get a sequel, explaining what they did in between the snap. But I liked it. I thought the casting was great, absolutely great. I think it was mint. And the score, love the score. I've downloaded the score. I bought the score. Off iTunes. And I liked it. And I just wish I knew that guy that could just get anything you wanted. Really, that Craig Davis lookalike. I thought he was great. You know what I me
If you have time and money.
Use a Quinjet, yeah. Put it off the roof of the Disney building, but you know what I mean? It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Is like if you have time and money, he'll get that for you.
But I liked it.
Good news is the story's not over. We're going to get that story, and with Hawkeye. That's obviously what we're setting up. So we're going to get that story.
I want the original. I want Natasha back. I want Scarlet back.
Maybe
you know what
someday.
I mean?
Again, we'll see what happens. And who knows?
Well, people have spoken with their money, so it is technically made enough money to be greenlit for a sequel. Just saying.
Yeah.
Hey!
What happens?
Jagger, if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need.
Exactly, and I'm sorry to just jump in here.
And if anyone knows how to cheat death, it's Mick Jagger.
Jamie, are we doing letter grades today?
And what?
I'm asking Phil. Are we doing letter grades?
Yeah. What grade?
We're doing
Jamie?
okay.
Yeah.
Would you like to give a letter grade to the film?
Me? As in what? A being great, B being what? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just whatever you
Went
feel.
to
A,
school
B,
and they
C,
gave
D,
you
or F.
A, B, C, D, E, F.
I'll give it a good B, actually. Not an A, but a good B. Yeah. Can I also say one other thing?
You do know the UK grading scale is very different than the American scale. Just saying. It is. Yeah. It's true.
If it was out of 10, I'll give it a straight 9. I really would. I'd give it a 9.
Okay, well, there you go.
Right.
That's a B.
But the other thing I wanted to say, about when I was saying about the soul stone, is that when Natasha jumped and she was splattered on the floor, and the guy went, "Ooh, that's a bit of a mess." Right? Who cleaned up that body? Who cleaned up the last body? You know what I mean?
The guy with the red face, the
red skull.
Yeah,
the red skull.
So what? He's just got like a house full of corpses. Hello, Natasha. You know what I mean?
Has them all set up at the table. They're having a tea party.
Right.
All right, Mozzie, what did you think?
Absolutely loved it. I really appreciated being back in the movie theater watching a Marvel movie. Mm-hmm. I saw it in 3D, and it really made going to the movies fun. That's what you go there for, to be buoyed and placated and like forget everything. And it did all of that. I was there every minute of it. I was never bored. The pacing was great. I thought the jokes were wonderful and well-timed and delivered effectively. I had a good time. I cared about all the characters. And by the end of it, I was happy. And I was ready to see this new Black Widow. And I was ready to see so much more of the Red Guardian. I think it was successful on so many fronts. And much like Jamie, 9 out of 10 for me. I thought it was wonderful. I had a ball.
Nice. All right, Lilith Hellfire.
I will give it, I guess a 75%. So a C+. It just felt like an afterthought. It wasn't up to par of like the cinematicness of all the other Marvel movies. It just felt very out of place. Everybody behind the scenes was very much second string. I just didn't appreciate that for my send-off for Black Widow. I just thought they could have done a lot more. That's all.
True.
Are you basing that on just who they hired or the visual quality of the film, how you reacted to it objectively?
Yes, how I reacted to it objectively. It just didn't have that Marvel cinematic flair for me. But if you take it out of the Marvel universe, it's a decent film. It's a B+. But in the Marvel hierarchy, it's a very average movie.
I felt like it was, sometimes it was like low budget and then suddenly high budget. You know what I mean? Like, when you take films like World War Z, where it was like really high budget, and then, the last 10, 20 minutes, it was really low. It worked. It made that movie. But this was going up and down like that, where it was low budget, high budget, low budget, high budget. And they
also kicked off one of my favorite composers to replace the guy that replaced him. He's okay. I like the score, but I think that the other guy could have done a lot better.
Who was the other guy who was going to do it?
I want to say it was Alexander Desplat was the original guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Lomboff, he was really good. He did all the Assassin's Creed games.
I know, but I don't like his style as much. He's literally the best thing about the Twilight soundtrack. He elevated that soundtrack. He does amazing. He's right up there with Ramin Djawadi, who does, Person of Interest and Game of Thrones. He's right up there with them.
Do you know, the other thing, I've just remembered now. Do you know when that helicopter landed? When they landed in the helicopter, it just fell to the ground, right? And they got out and they started walking and talking. It seemed that one scene to another was like they've been walking for a long time, yet the camera panned and they were only like couple of feet away from the helicopter. And then when her mum spots them, it's the same terrain. It's the same terrain, it's got the same flowers in front of them. So it was like, well, that will look it. They just landed right next to her house. Yeah.
Hey, he was almost right. They almost had just enough fuel to make it.
Hey.
Yeah.
But I liked it. But I mean, I liked it. I mean, yeah, I think they could have given it a little more Lilith. But I mean, I did enjoy it. Yeah, I'm giving it a B too. I thought it was a good send off. Yes, there could have been a little more, but I enjoyed what I saw. All right, Charlie.
My book. Oh, actually, anyway. So this film. I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it an A. I'm sorry. I think that it gave itself. I mean, at 9 out of 10, that's a 90. That's an A minus at best. At worst, in the U.S. system. I thought it was a really good film. I thought it has the qualities of cinema that you want. To me, this film very much is much like what's that other film that everyone likes? Not Civil War, Captain America 2, Winter Soldier. It's this, it's the same threat. And like to me, the worst thing about it is that it's the exact same problem with Winter Soldier, except it exists in a world where insight already exists, and that's the problem. That they have this insight, they have this mind control. They've gone further because there is this regime that is evil, that is doing these things. And to me, that's pretty awesome. And as far as, I mean, I am certain we'll get Black Widow 2, and yeah, it'll be the blonde. That's fine. But we're going to have the entire army of Black Widows, and it's going to be integrated with whatever Melina, who is the Iron Maiden in the comics, does with Val, and the dynamics that we're building. Because we're building a bigger universe. That's the thing. And it is going to be what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was supposed to be, which was all these different pieces always moving, sometimes moving in different directions, and that chaos is what's going to make for a good universe. Because, that's the thing. When we get She-Hulk, when we get a fourth wall breaker into the storyline, it's going to be its own thing, and it's going to be this idea that, the rules of time and space are not uniform. And things are going to happen that are going to change our understanding of the universe, but the universe is going to have to continue. And you're going to have people that are going to have to just sort of say, I don't remember that. It's going to be, like, in that sense, again, things like Loki and Wanda are prepping us for that reality where, sometimes you might have some vague memories of a Polybius machine. And you say, people will tell you, no, the Polybius machine never existed. There were no such thing as the Berenstain Bears. They were always the Berenstain Bears. And there's always going to be someone trying to tell you a different story. But those timelines existed. And it's because once the TVA is broken, all those timelines exist and they flow and they grind into each other. And whatever we get, we'll get. And maybe in one of those, Natasha comes back. Either as a variant or as something else. And it'll be something beautiful and grand. And we're all going to be very excited to see it.
So an A, huh?
I give it an A.
You got a back, though, haven't you, for What If as well? That show.
Well, yes.
You got
everyone's back for What If because they shot those like 20 years ago. And, at this point, to be fair, that's the advantage of animation. They can shoot all that dialogue once the script is done. They can just shoot the dialogue.
Oh, yeah. They
bring it back into live action as Marvel Zombies.
Yes. Well, and I'm still waiting to find out what's going on with those Marvel Zombies. Because they say that that's tied to there's something going on with the Marvel Zombies. And it seems to be the implication that they're going to be building a new Avengers in the What If universe as well. So there's a lot that Marvel is doing for our Phase 5 or whatever this is.
Well, whatever they do, I also hope they step away from the super soldier serum because they seem to be handing it out like you can buy it from the shop. You know what I mean?
Well, they can. Well, see, that's the thing about the super soldier serum. And this is one of the things about whether or not Red Guardian faced Captain America in the 80s. They can do super soldier serum. It works for like about a week and a half before you go nuts. I mean, for what it's worth, we saw the super soldier serum in Jessica Jones with Nuke, and the idea that, it works. It works for, until you start, we were trying to figure out that formulation right. But as it turns out,
voodoo or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like we can pump you up with these great steroids, but eventually it doesn't work as well as we would like it to in the long run. So we will always have super soldiers because it's easy, and that's the thing about science. Once you create these things, they're relatively easy to replicate if you figure out what it was that did it, at least on a halfway scale. That's why, for what it's worth, Marvel Comics is littered with gamma mutates. Because they figured out, oh wow, you know what? Gamma has this weird power. If we just expose enough people to gamma, pump them with just the right chemicals, one of them is going to become a Hulk. Now the problem is that now that we have a Hulk, how do we control it? And that, of course, is where competing evil organizations like the Mandarin and the Ten Rings are going to be pushing back against evil organizations like Hydra. And you're going to get into this dark world where you're going to have a Dark Avengers, a Mandarin Agents of Atlas, and a Leviathan all pushing their superheroes against each other. And the Dark Avengers are going to be the heroes by default.
All right, let's cut it there.
That's going to be a great universe.
Cut it there. I cut it like 10 minutes ago. Let's cut it there. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jeez. I thought that was a good revelation.
I said final thoughts, and you've been
mark
10 minutes.
My words.
Okay, thank you. All right, everyone. Okay. Send us your thoughts on Black Widow, everything coming up in the MCU. Email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember to find all our social media, the YouTube, the Patreon, the merch, all at Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics. And please remember to go support all things Southgate Media Group, southgatemediagroup.com. Go check out the Southgate Media Group Patreon. Go pick up Pod Life the book, now in digital and paperback, and pick that up on Amazon. And when you do, use the link for Southgate Media Group right down there in the show notes. Help us support this show, the network, and that brainwashed man himself, Rob Master Doom Southgate.
Make it rain, so says Master Doom. Mark my words.
That's how you do it. Okay, Jamie, where can people find you and your shows?
Well, you can find me on social media and on Twitter and on TikTok, I think, with Ghost Heads UK podcast. And also my Star Wars one is radiofreeendor@gmail.com. Now, I've just put the latest episode out. There might be a little bit of time difference until I put the next one out because my PC went up in flames. So I'll be doing everything off this laptop from now on. But that's where you can find me. Social media, Radio Free Endor, or Ghost Heads UK if you're into Ghostbusters on social media.
All right, Moz Manzoor, you've been doing a bunch of podcasts. Where are you at these days?
People can email me at mozmanzoor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Moz Manzoor. And I'll let Charlie tell you about the shows that we do together.
Well, yes. We'll get to that in a minute, but there's also the third show, which is, what was the third show that he did?
Happiness and Darkness, the superhero movie podcast.
That's right.
That one, yeah. Maz he's pretty. He doesn't do the business end. He doesn't do the business end.
He's the pretty.
That's okay.
That's
okay,
face.
Maz.
I know. He's the pretty face.
He's pretty and he's smart. You can't ask him to handle the books too, okay? It's like we have... I barely handle the books. That's your job, Phil. You do your job. We'll be the pretty ones, okay?
All right. And another pretty one. Love Hellfire. Where can people find you and talk smack on the MCU? Unmute.
Yeah. If you want to find me on the interwebs, you can find me on Twitter at Lil Hellfire, on Instagram at Lil Hellfire69, and of course on TikTok, not making content. Don't get excited, at Lil Hellfire69. Good for that release.
Okay, Charlie Esser, let it rip.
Wow. You can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. Listen to me and Maz every week on Superconnectivity. No. On Full Stream Ahead, and enough said. Listen to me and Phil on Superconnectivity And then Happiness and Darkness to come back to Moz, because apparently I've got to do that now too. And of course, you can always follow me on Twitter as I live tweet things Sunday nights at, I guess 8 is when Legends of Tomorrow's come on, so I guess I'm going to be doing that at Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIE. ESSER. Look for the 2 E's in the middle. For what?
For quality. Bing!
Thank you, Maz.
I didn't even have to hit the button this week. Nice.
That's how you make a team, because you feel each other and you flow with each other. That's good.
All right. Thank you, kids. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Moz. Thank you, Lilith. And yes, thank you, Charlie Esser. For another week, we have been your Capes.
Ampersand.
Lunatics! 5 of them this week.
What?
By the way, Decades is running the Monkeys all weekend long. If that interests you. The Monkeys?
Hey, they're the Monkeys.
Oh, the Beatles rip-off.
Oh!
Proudly so.
Make it so.
The guys that sang all Neil Diamond songs. Yeah.
Yep, those are the ones. The original boy band.
Hi, I'm one of the High Priests of Khonshu Ray, and I have the sacred privilege of providing you, the loony listener, with a podcast honouring Marvel's very own Moon Knight. So join me and a host of others at Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, or support the show by becoming a Patreon member. Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. It's time to get your Khonshu on.